Hi YouTube, it's Janelli here. I'm so excited because this is my very first YouTube live. I hope you guys can hear me. If you can't, let me know in the comments. This is my first time doing it, so I really want to make sure everything is good. I want to make sure you can hear me, you can see me, and that everything is good to go. Before I jump into taking questions, because I already see a couple of them in the live chat right now, which is amazing. Oh, thank you. Vape Time, I love you too. I really love all of you guys for supporting. But yes, thank you, Amen Versace. We can see you now. Great. I really wanted to make sure you could see me, you could hear me, and everything was good. But yes, before I jump into the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much, because I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna join me, tonight. It's late and people got stuff to do, and I don't know how many people really care to join my channel tonight. But I jumped in and I already see there's 12, 13, 15, 16 people waiting, and like it's just going up. So thank you guys for joining tonight. I hope to be able to get to every single one of your questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to take too much longer. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the questions. So the first question I have is from Red Shimmy. It was sent in the live chat before I even jumped in. So Red Shimmy, thank you. I always see her commenting. I'm assuming Red Shimmy is a her. Thank you, Red Shimmy. You always are asking me questions and commenting on my videos. So I always see her supporting. So shout out to Red Shimmy. I'm going to just jump into her question, and then if you guys have any other questions, just add them in. I'm seeing them pop up on the side, so I'll be able to answer them as we go. Okay, so Red Shimmy says, do you use Acorns app? My nephew asked me about it, but I do not know what it is or how it works very much. Okay, so I don't personally use Acorns, but that being said, I don't want to make it sound like it's not something that might be a good idea. I think that, like everything, it has its pros and cons. And sorry guys, I have my water here because like I talk a lot and I talk really fast, and I'm gonna need to take breaks and drink water. So yes, I think Acorns can be good for you. So the pros are, if you use your card a lot, like if you're using your credit card to make all of your purchases, if your budget is very digital based, like it's very based on credit cards and based on your debit card, and you using like basically not cash, then it's definitely a good idea to use something like Acorns, because you're constantly swiping your card, and so you probably have more than like 50 or 60 credit card transactions every month. So that means every time that you swipe your credit card, basically, let's say you buy something and it comes out to $1.10, it's going to round up to $2, and it's going to take 90 cents from your account and invest it. So every time you swipe, whatever the change is that rounds up to the next whole dollar amount is going to get invested. And I think a lot of people really like that idea, especially young people, millennials, because most millennials, to be real, we broke, right? We don't have a lot of money. So we're using credit cards and debit cards a lot. And because you're using it so often, you have a lot of transactions constantly. So it feels like a really good way to put all your change away. Kind of like back in the day when people used to come home and take the change out of their pocket and just put it in the jar. That's pretty much what you're doing, except instead of letting it sit in a jar and lose value with inflation, you are actually investing it. So I think that Acorns and even other apps similar to it like Stash are very cool. But what I will say is, if you're the type of person who does not use your credit cards a lot, like if you do less than 50 or even 60 transactions a month, let's say on average is 25 cents that gets invested every time. So like on average you spend 75 cents more than the dollar amount every month, and it goes up or whatever. So invest 25 cents. On average, if you say, let's say you have 50 transactions and you do, I don't even want to make up the math because I don't want to lie. Let me do the math here. So you have 25 cents getting invested and you do this 50 times a month, right? That's $12.50 that they've collected with all your change that's going to get invested. But they charge $1 a month if you have less than $5,000 in there. So if you take $1 and divide it by $12.50, make sure I do my math right, that's 0.08. So that's 8%. That's a lot. That's high fees, basically, that you're paying. You're paying 8% of the $12.50 that you invested, basically, because you're giving them $1 that month to essentially, have your money invested. And you can do this with other companies like Wealthfront. If you invest $500 at least, or more, I think up to like 10,000 or something like that, it's free. And then with Betterment, it's just 0.25%. So it's like way less than 8%. So I think it depends on how much money you're going to be investing. So how many times do you swipe your card and how much times is the change going to be going? And then B, what exactly does the math look like when you actually work it out, right? Oh no, I hope my My lighting isn't bad. But yes, so I really think you have to sit down and really think about your habits as you know, what kind of financial habits do you have? And if it makes sense for you, then do it. If not, maybe not so much. Because I personally, you know, I don't use it because I know myself. I budget really hard and I use my credit card certain times during the month. I'm not using it every single day constantly. So it doesn't make sense for me. Okay, so let me take another question. It says, I have 5 credit cards right now. How many should I really have? Okay, so I actually posted a video about this very recently, that it kind of depends, but on average, people with a very high credit score have about 7 credit cards. And that being said, I feel like that's, you know, that's not that, it doesn't mean that you have to have 7 credit cards. What it means is that you want to kind of think about where you are in terms of your age of credit and how much your utilization is going to be if you constantly open new credit cards, because that's what's going to hurt your score. So if you're thinking about just getting a credit card just because you want to have more than one, it doesn't make sense. Really think about, do you need it? Is it something that this credit card is going to offer you that, you know, you're going to be able to, they're going to be able to get as a perk that you wouldn't get if you didn't get the card. If you have a pretty high credit limit with your first card and you don't really need another one and your credit is pretty good, then just wait. Like, don't just go opening cards because you need it. So there's not really a magic number. I wouldn't say you need to have a certain number, but I definitely think that if you are going to use the card and you're going to get a good deal out of it, then definitely go ahead and open another card. But yeah, definitely don't go opening left and right like crazy, because if you go and watch the video that I posted, it actually hurts your score every time you apply for credit. So don't go too crazy on that. You're welcome. I don't want to butcher your name. K. Suresh. You're very welcome. Okay, so I have, how can I bounce back from a 30-day late payment on a closed credit card? It's from my first one from 2 years and my utilization is terrible. Whew. Okay, what I would do is call them up, because usually what happens is if you just have one late payment on your account, credit card companies are pretty forgiving. Like, this is the thing that a lot of people, they don't know, that credit card companies actually, they want you to stay as their client. They want you to stay as a customer. And so they're going to do as much as they can to keep you happy. If you have a lot of late payments, you have basically repeated a pattern of behavior where you're constantly paying late, then I'm sorry, they're not gonna want to help you out. And to be honest, I wouldn't help you out if I was them either, because you have developed bad habits over time. You're constantly doing the same thing. You're sending your money late. So I wouldn't I wouldn't bank on you basically thinking that the credit card company is immediately going to not want to help you out just because you had a late payment once. I would say if you have one late payment, call up your credit card company, say, listen, I had this card for 2 years and I never had a late payment. And one time I had a late payment, you can see in my account, it was just one time, and I paid it as soon as I got the money, literally within that month or 2 months. So at this point, I'm showing that I'm going back to my good behavior. Is there any way that you can waive the late fee and kind of like not, overlook that and let it go this one time as a favor for me, because I've been a long time client and I really want to stay with this card. I love this credit card. I've had it for a long time, all that kind of stuff. So, and if they say no, then ask them to speak to their supervisor, because at the end of the day, the credit card company for the most part is going to try to do everything they can to help you out. And if you can't get a yes from them, worst comes to worst is that you have that one late payment over 30 days in your account on your credit report, and over time it will go away. It's not going to go away right away. You're going to have to make payments on time every single month for like at least a year or two to get that to go away. But it's a lesson learned. Take it as a lesson learned and set up automatic payments. I mean, I never make a late payment. I've never made a late payment in my life because honestly, before, when I was not that responsible, when I was in college, I never made late payments because I always sent the minimum balance, but I was just kind of like, I don't like being late. Like, I was nerdy. I always made sure my papers were submitted on time. My projects that I started them, well, maybe not always started early. Sometimes I procrastinated, but it was always submitted when it was due. I was never late. So with the same thing with my credit cards, like I had that kind of habit, like whatever day was due, I made sure to pay it. And so, at the end of the day, it's just like, if you get into those kinds of habits, then you don't have to worry about this. But what makes it easier is if you set up automatic payment, because then you don't even have to worry about what day it is. It's going to automatically take it out of your checking account and send the money so that your bills are always paid on time. So I definitely say, go ahead and like set up automatic payments so that this never happens to you again. Okay. All right. So do you know what when credit card companies started to report sorry, that question left. I'm not going to answer that one. Can you tell me what is an interest rate and how it works? Of course. Okay. So I posted a video actually about interest. But I know it was a little bit confusing because some people were saying you need to like give examples. So, and I get it, that's true. Sometimes I need examples and I need visuals to learn. I'm a very visual learner, so I get it. But basically, in very simple form, when you go to the store to buy something, right, you just pay whatever it costs. So let's say you're gonna buy this bottle of water and it costs 10 bucks. You're gonna pay $10 and you're gonna get this, right? You're gonna walk away with it and you're gonna own it. But if you can't afford to pay this water bottle today, then you can still purchase it with a credit card. You're gonna borrow the money to pay for it, and then you're gonna have to pay for the service that was offered to you, which is the lending of the money when you didn't have it. So basically what I'm saying is that you really have to like think about, if you can't afford to pay something right now, do you really need it? If you don't need it, don't buy it, because you're gonna have to pay to borrow money, right? Nobody's gonna lend you money for free and just say, yeah, here you go, I got you, I'll pay for the water bottle and just pay me back whenever you get the chance. That's not how it works, right? The credit card company is gonna lend you the $10, and then at the end of the month when your bill comes, you're gonna owe like $10.50 or something like that. You're gonna be like, why do I owe $10.50 if I paid 10 bucks for this, not $10.50? Because the 50 cents is called the interest, right? That's what you're gonna pay. And so if you do the math and you find out what percentage each year of the amount of money that you're spending on your card you will pay back in interest, that's called your annual percentage rate. So that's going to be the percentage form of how much interest you pay. So instead of saying every time you pay $10 you're going to spend 50 cents to spend that much, they're just going to give you a percentage rate, okay? And the average percentage rate right about now is like around 15%. So you want to try to find less than that if you can. 12%, 13% is really great. Try not to go too high, like 29%, 27%. Those are really high. Okay, so what I want to do now is take another question, because I feel like I get long-winded and I talk forever. But let me just drink some water while I look for another question. How do you feel about Bitcoins? Ooh, okay. Sorry guys, I got really thirsty. And I drink a lot of water, you guys can see. I drink probably like this. I fill it up like 2 or 3 times a day. So I drink a lot of water throughout the day. But okay, so Bitcoins. Well, I'm definitely newer to Bitcoin, right? And I think that everybody's gonna have a different opinion about it, because it's the same thing as like whenever there's a new technology that comes out that people don't really understand very well, people freak out, right? And so I think, and that's normal. I think that is totally normal. So what I think about it is, I think it's definitely a creative new approach to money, right? It's basically saying, if you want to make a transaction with somebody anywhere in the world at any time, you should have the freedom to do that, right? Because you are free and you work for your money, and why should anybody else tell you not to do that or charge you money to do that? So right now, at the point that we are, if you do transactions either internationally or with companies, if you swipe a credit card at a store to buy something, all of that incurs fees, right? Every time that you swipe your card to buy something, the business owner, whatever business it was or store, they have to pay a certain fee for you to use that credit card. So the creators of Bitcoin and the idea behind it is that there shouldn't be a reason why you should have to have a hard time making these transactions happen or pay so much for it. In theory, that's the idea, right? But transaction fees are actually pretty high with Bitcoin right now, which is a lot of the criticism that Bitcoin is getting. But at the end of the day, basically what happens is, you want to go ahead and buy something, and there's a record of it, and there's a lot of different computers stationed all throughout different places, right? And they're all kind of sharing this signal and giving each other information constantly to verify if something works or not. So kind of like when you swipe your credit card at the store and you're standing there waiting, and it says like verifying, and you got to wait and see like, is the credit card going to go through? It's because they have to make sure that the money is actually there, that you have it, because if you don't, they're not going to let you walk out of the store with free stuff. So that's the same idea, right? Bitcoin has to have the computers go across to each other and verify that the transaction is legitimate, that the money is there, and that it's not fake Bitcoin, or it's not like a fake transaction. And once that is verified, it gets recorded, right? A whole bunch of numbers, and I believe it's always anonymous, but I think you can trace like the IP address or something like that. But the point is, it's generally pretty anonymous, right? So there's gonna be all these numbers and the date, the time, what was purchased, how much it costs, whatever, all that stuff is gonna be like code. So it doesn't really matter. The point is that if you need to find out information about a transaction, it's always gonna be there. It's gonna be like, how the phrase is carved in stone, but it's going to be more than carved in stone because it's going to be there forever and you can't change it, right? You can always go back and re-scratch something into a stone. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't change what the transaction record says. You can add to it. You can create an amendment and go in and like add more stuff, but you can't, or maybe amendment is the wrong word. You can't change anything that exists in there. You can only add to it. Okay, so basically the reason why I think Bitcoin is a great idea is because it's going to open a lot of new opportunities for people to do transactions around the world. And in the way that it's being implemented right now, it's a baby. It's in very early stages. So people keep talking, crazy bad about it or good about, really, really hyper about it. But honestly, it's so young right now. It's so early that we don't really know. So at the end of the day, what I would say in terms of advice about Bitcoins, if you have money that you can afford to lose, okay, you can afford to lose it, which means that it is not a big deal if you were to walk over to the toilet right now and flush your money down and flush it, goodbye, bye money, I'm never gonna see you again. You flush down the toilet, you're gonna be all right. You're not gonna be freaking out or don't have no money. You're gonna have to figure out a new budget. You're gonna have to go borrow money, beg your parents to hook you up with some money. If that's the situation you're gonna be in, then Bitcoin is not for you. Because Bitcoin is literally something that is so volatile. Like, we don't know which way it's going to go. And every single day it's changing, constantly going up and down, up and down. So it's really not for people who want a safe investment that is very low risk. That's not what Bitcoin is. That being said, if you do have some extra money that you're like, oh, I don't really need this money. I don't have any debt. I don't, owe anybody anything. And I have an emergency fund, or I have a little bit of money saved up in case something happens. And at this point, I can afford to spare a couple, whatever, this much dollars. Then in that case, I would say, okay, you can, because you should, and you could be able to then go ahead and consider Bitcoin. But I wouldn't recommend it if it's something that you feel like you're going to lose the money and you need that money. Then don't put it in Bitcoin, because if you lose it, you got to be willing to accept that you are 50-50 chance, right, basically, of losing it or gaining from it. So that's why I think it's really important that you consider that. I don't want to talk too much more about Bitcoin because I'm very new to it as well. I've watched a lot of TED Talks, a lot of different tech people in the tech industry who are really, really smart that I admire. Like, I've been watching them talk about it. I've been reading a lot about it. And I eventually did make the decision to invest. I invested when it was like 13,000 around there. So I didn't get it when it was really, really low, which I wish I had, because right now it's like, going up very close to 20,000. So, I did make some profit. As of right now, I did make some profit, but it keeps going up and down. So like, who really knows, right? But my plan is to leave it there, the money that I invested, and I only invested 1% of my net worth. So I literally added up all of the money that I have saved, my whole net worth, and I just took 1% of that and put it into Bitcoin. So if it fails, if it crashes, and if I lose that money, I still got 99% of my net worth. I'm good. I'm not going to be out on the street begging for change. I'm going to be okay. So that's something that I would recommend, is to do the math and don't invest more than 1 to 2% of your net worth, because it's just not worth it right now. We don't know what's going to happen. But it definitely is very risky. So if you're a kind of risky investor and you want to take that chance, and you think technology is going to boom and it's going to go up, it's just, try 1 to 2%. Don't go crazy and put so much of your money, because we all don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. All right, what is the least you can invest in Bitcoin? Honestly, I don't think there's a least. I'm sure you can invest like a penny or something, but basically what I would recommend you do is download an app that is trustworthy, reliable. I personally used Coinbase, so just download the Coinbase app or a similar app, and then what you can do is play around. Just click on the Bitcoin or any of the other cryptocurrency. Honestly, you can click on Ethereum, you can click on Litecoin. There's like other options as well. Click on it and then just start typing numbers in. Like, it's not gonna take your money until you confirm like 3 different times and put in your bank account information. So what you can do is first just test it out. See, let me try $10. How much would that get me? Would that get me like 0.000000001 of a Bitcoin? Okay, if I put $1,000, how much would that get me? 0.001 of a Bitcoin. And then you want to think about, okay, then little by little, maybe later you can come back and put more if it's been going up or if it's doing well. But at this point, I would start with how much money you can actually put. I think the big misconception with Bitcoin, which is what I would like to clear up here now that the question was asked, thanks for asking that good question, is that you have to buy one Bitcoin. That's not true. You can literally buy a slither, a teeny tiny slither of a fraction of a Bitcoin. So you don't have to, it's kind of like a dollar. Like if you think about having a dollar and when you go to buy something, everything doesn't cost a dollar, but that's usually the standard that people say is dollars, right? $1, $2, $3. We talk about things in dollar amounts, but you can have a penny, you can have 10 cents, you can have a dime, you can have a nickel, you can have a quarter, you can have, 1/10 of a dollar, which is a dime. You can have 1/100th of a dollar, which is a penny. So that's the same idea. The relationship between a penny and a dollar is pretty much, no, not a penny and a dollar. I would say the relationship between a dime and a dollar is probably what I have in terms of how much I've invested in Bitcoin to one whole Bitcoin, right? So I don't have a whole Bitcoin yet. And that's fine, you know what I mean? But the point is the money that you put in there, it's going to slowly grow as the value of a Bitcoin grows. The value of that slither of a fraction of a Bitcoin is also going to grow. So you don't have to have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You can put $50, $60, $70, but you can put $10. I'm pretty sure you can. It's just going to mean that what you have in terms of how much Bitcoin you have is a very small fraction. It's not one Bitcoin or two Bitcoins. I mean, if you have $17,000 to spare, then sure, you can buy Bitcoin and say you have it. But that's a lot of money, right? So if you're on that level, I don't even know if you need to be watching MissBeHelpful, honestly, because my hashtag goals. I'm trying to get on that level where I can invest $17,000. Okay, what do you think about the Robinhood app? I think the Robinhood app is amazing. I think Robinhood for investing is excellent. It's a free way for you to trade stocks and learn about the stock market and different funds. I think it's definitely something I recommend checking out if you are new. It is a little harder because it's very what do you call it? Like you are doing all the work. It's not like an auto robotic type of thing. You have to really pretty much know about investing before you use it. It's not going to just set it up for you and just automatically do it every month the way robo advisors do. And I personally really like robo advisors because as somebody who grew up not getting a lot of information about about investing and about interest rates and compounding interest and like how these things work. I didn't know any of this stuff until I was like in my mid-20s or early 20s. So it's like for me, I feel like if you know a lot about it or if you have a lot of support from either a mentor or a coach or your family or I don't know, anybody around you who knows about investing and knows about the stock market well, then I would definitely say then that's something that you might want to do. Invest on your own completely and choose your stocks and your groups and your funds and stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, I wasn't totally sure how to go about creating a portfolio with the correct allocation. I had to learn about that and I needed somebody to guide me through it. So that's why robo advising is something that I always recommend for new people who are learning about this, because I think it's just something that kind of takes you and holds your hand and kind of helps guide you through it. And then at some point when you are ready and you've kind of seen how it works, you've gotten a good idea of what it's like, then you can start to be more hands-on and make more decisions about your own, individual stocks or whatever what might have that you want to invest in. But I definitely think at the beginning, if you're not sure, if you don't know a lot about it, do not do that. It's just not worth it. Okay, should I invest in a 401k while I'm in debt? Bridget, good question. I definitely think that you should only invest in a 401k ever, period, point blank, if you get a company match. So that's the catch there, right? Because if you're just putting money in there, who knows if you're going to get money back? I mean, you will likely, but who knows how much? It might be 3%, 4%, 6%. Who knows, right? It could be anything, high, low, medium. You don't know. But what I would say is your debt, you're definitely losing money in your debt because the interest that you're being charged is growing, right? So what I would say is compare the debt that you have, the interest rate on the debt that you have. How much is that interest rate? And what the interest rate, might be on your in your 401k. If you don't have a company match, your interest rate is only going to be it's going to likely be a one-digit return, right? Because on average, you return 6 to 7 to 8%. But if you have a company match, you're either going to get half of what you put in, so 50% return, or a full match, which is 100% return on your investment. That is unheard of. That is free money. That's you saying, if I put 50 bucks in here, they're gonna give me 50 bucks. That's literally like impossible to find. That's the best deal ever. I mean, the best deal ever would be like 200 or 300 or 500% return, but this is still a really amazing return. It's what you put in, you're gonna get back out. So if your 401k company, the company 401k that you have is going to match you either half of what you put in or even 100% of what you put in, then yes, even if you're in debt, do that, because I guarantee you your debt is not growing at no 50% interest rate, at no 100% interest rate. That's ridiculous. So your interest rate on your 401k is going to be way higher. So it's going to be more worth it if you get the company matched. But if you don't get the company matched, then I would say, think about the math. If you have student loans that are very low, like 2 or 3%, then it might be worth it to put, 10% or something like that of your income to the 401k, or even less, maybe 7% or something, while you're paying off your debt. But if your debt, is really, it's really a high interest rate. If you have, for example, credit card debt that's like 29%, then you might want to take that debt and bring it down more before you start investing into your 401k, right? So that's like kind of a decision that you want to make based on numbers and based on the math and that kind of thing. Can you have both a Roth and a traditional IRA? If so, which companies do you recommend? Jen gets fit 17. Jen, I definitely say, I have both. So yes, you can have both a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. But what you have to make sure you do is that you don't, when you combine the amounts that you're investing in both of them each year, that it doesn't go above the annual limit that you have. So the annual limit on an IRA, whether it's traditional or whether it's Roth, is $5,500. So that means that you can't, you can't put more than that in both accounts combined. I'm like tripping up on my words. But so basically what you want to do is decide which account you want to fund more, or if you're not totally sure, just split 5,500 in half and just put, half of it in the traditional IRA and half of it in the Roth IRA. I always recommend Betterment, because Betterment was founded by a Brown University alum, whoop whoop, represent for Brown, right? But also because there's so much data, there's so much information on there. It's really easy to use. You can go onto the website, you can go onto the app, and there's a lot of resources in the app and as well on the website. So you can always chat with somebody and ask them questions. You can call and ask questions. You can email and ask questions. You can read all the Q&As that they have. They have a lot of FAQs on the site as well. So there's so many opportunities for you to learn about what's going on and to ask questions and get answers from real people and not have to pay a crazy amount of money. The fee that they charge is only 0.25. So that's very, very low. Hey, should you pay off bills that are already on your credit report even if they want to delete the bill off? Assuming you mean like collections, so like you have a credit card bill that was sent to collections. I think if you have something that was sent to collections, I would say pay it off. A lot of people on YouTube, I'm telling, I don't know why, and I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but I don't know why people would suggest to people that they do something that is going to negatively impact their financial situation. Like, that doesn't make sense, right? Why would you give that? That's bad advice, in my opinion. So there's a lot of people on YouTube that are saying, don't pay collections. Don't ever pay collections. When I graduated college, I had a collections on my credit report from, I forgot what it was. I think I got stitches. I was working at a sandwich shop in college at some point, the pizzeria / sandwich store. And I used to make sandwiches. And one time, I don't know what was going on. I was cutting too fast or something. I don't know, I was cleaning up. And I cut through my thumb with the knife. And I had to go and ended up getting stitches. I think it was like 3 stitches or 4 across my thumb. And I totally forgot about that. And I thought, oh, but university insurance is going to cover it. But they only covered, part of it. I still had to pay some of it. And so when I graduated college, it was on my credit report and I never even got a bill. So I was so confused. Like, what is this money that I owe to who? So I ended up calling the collections agency, the name of the agency that was on my credit report. I looked them up. I found the number. I called them and they said, yes, you have a collection that was sent from Brown University, the medical, because you didn't pay for, a bill. And I knew immediately, like, oh, that must have been that time that I got stitches. And what I did, I didn't run away from the bill. Like, I paid it off. And if you don't have the money to pay that off, then you need to call them and say, hey, can you help me set up a payment plan? Can I make a payment $10, $15 a month every month? They want you to just start, right? Because they want their money, or they want to do their job and get the person who you owe money to their money back. But B, it's better for you to clear it off of your credit report. The longer that you have collections on there for, the worse it looks for you, and the more irresponsible you start to appear to be. Because really, how can your credit report have something on there for 5 or 6 years and you didn't know about it? It's like, of course you knew you had some collections on there, but you didn't pay it. So as soon as you find out, don't avoid it. Like, come up with a plan. Call them, have them work with you, or just pay it all at once if you have the money. If you have it and you can afford to pay it, just pay it all off and get that collection removed off your credit report. Your credit score is going to go up. Your report is going to be so nice and clean. You're going to have all those negative stuff off your report, so you'll be much better in a much better situation. How do you pronounce your name? Okay, my name is a Spanish name. My parents are Dominican American, and so the way that my name is pronounced at home with my family is Janely. But in English, it's a lot of people see the way it's spelled. It's spelled Y-A-N-E-L-Y. So when you see a Y in English, it makes the Y sound. So a lot of people in English will see it and they read it as Yaneli. And that's totally fine with me. I am okay with people calling me Yaneli. I grew up with my friends and my teachers, and a lot of people because it's American culture, they're going to call you an English name. So my name has always been Yaneli when I'm in school, when I'm at work, when I'm with my friends or whatever. But usually when I'm in my house or when I'm home with my parents and my family, they call me Janely. So to pay respect to my mother, of course, when I do my YouTube videos, I always say my name in Spanish because that's the name that she gave me. And I think it would be rude if I go on hi, everybody, is Yaneli. And then my mom is like, what? That is not the name I gave you, right? And so it's like, okay, you're right, mommy. So for me, it's like, you can call me either Janely or Yaneli. I respond to both. But yeah, usually it's just my family that calls me Janely. I love the way you say dollar. Okay, dollar, I don't know. I didn't know I was saying it a certain way. Okay, what is a good credit card utilization rate? Oh, come on. If you go to my YouTube page, you see the main video on my page is the utilization video. A good utilization rate that you should have, you should always try to have less than 10%. That's why I say divide by 10, then spend. That's like that should be like my channel slogan, because that's like one of my very first videos that had a lot of views that I think really helped a lot of people, because it's information that people don't usually know. Utilization is not something that people know about when they open credit cards. So 10%, that's the magic number. If you want to have excellent in your utilization category, then you want to go for 10%. But a lot of people say 30% because that's like, what can I compare it to? It's like if you're in college and you could get an A, a B, or a C. Why would you accept a C if you know you can get an A? Like, why would you just take a C? Like, unless you don't care. If you don't care and you don't want to go for excellent, then fine, settle for fair, settle for good. But for me, it's like, if I already know the formula, if I know the rules that I need to follow to get an excellent score, well, I'm gonna go for excellent then. I'm gonna go for the best, right? I don't want to settle for a C when I could get an A+. So basically, if you want to get an A, 10%. If you want to get a B, 20%. If you want to get a C, 30%. And if you want to fail, then 40, 50, 60, 70%, anything above basically that is going to start to hurt your score a lot. But utilization, I would say 10%. I went way over my utilization. Now I'm in debt. Boo, come up with a plan. Boo, come up with a plan. I think a lot of what happens a lot of time is that people, they see the debts are mounting, or it is like piling up, and they just feel like, you know what, there's no way that I'm going to be able to really do anything that's going to change that, because it's just growing, or maybe it's just overwhelming you. But at the end of the day, man, there's this really good children's book called What Do You Do With a Problem? I really want everybody to go on YouTube right now when you're done watching me. Go on YouTube and type in What to Do With a Problem and see if you can watch like the animated story version of it. But it's like, it's that idea that if you have a problem, anything at all, that obviously being the one I'm talking about, but anything at all, and you just leave it alone and you ignore it and you avoid it and you turn your back and you try to hide from it, it's just gonna keep on growing. It's not gonna go away. So if you're like, I forgot the name of the person, I'm sorry. If you're like this person who put the comment saying that they went over their utilization and they didn't know, life is full of lessons learned. You learn your lesson. Now you know moving forward that it's 10%. At this point, you just need to start paying it down. Make a commitment to yourself. Every month, I'm going to send $50. Every month, I'm going to take out, a third of my check and send it. Make a commitment. Any commitment that you know you can stand behind and tell somebody about it so they can hold you accountable and then commit and do it. And you'll be out of debt, you know, in time. It takes time, but it's definitely worth it, okay? It's like losing weight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen because you did 20 crunches every night for 3 nights. No, that's not going to even make a difference in your waistline. You need to do it for years, for like months, for a long time, and really commit to see the results. It's the same thing with your financial situation. I was told that I would get a tax-free Roth IRA when I retire. Yes, so it's okay. It's not tax-free because with a Roth IRA, you paid your taxes on that money already. So you have to think about it like taxes. You are never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to avoid paying taxes on money that you earned legally, right? Because it's documented. If you have some sort of documentation of that income, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. It has a record of it. So what I would say is think about it as like, when is the taxes going to be taken? When are the taxes going to be taken out? I'm use proper grammar. When are the taxes going to be taken out? Are they going to be taken out now, right? Or are they going to be taken out later when I take the money out of the account? That's the question, not tax-free. There's really no tax-free really in terms of retirement, investing, and saving. It's not really a way for you to avoid taxes. But the way that you can set up your account is to say, if you think that your taxes are going to be way higher when you're older, then you want to be taxed now because you want to get the lower tax amount. But if you think that when you're older, your taxes are going to be lower, then you want to pay taxes later in life so you can get the lower tax rate, right? Simple. You just want to pay as little taxes as possible. You want to pay the lower rate. So what I would say is with a Roth IRA, when you put the money in, you've already been taxed on that money. So you're not going to get taxed again when you take the money out. It's only going to get taxed once, which it was already taxed when you got your paycheck. And then after you get paid, your money goes in your check account, you take it out and put it in a Roth IRA. The money was taxed when you get your check. You know, you don't get exactly what you earned. You get money after taxes. It shows Social Security, disability, all these different taxes are taken out of your check. So then you invest your money, so which means that you've already been taxed on it. So think about it like that. Am I going to pay my taxes now, or am I going to pay my taxes later? But don't try to get tax-free advantage. I mean, you could, but at the end of the day, you're going to pay taxes either now or later. Okay, credit report. How can I get it? Okay, here's the thing. I might post a video about this because I feel like people really got mad at me when I started to say Credit Karma. Credit Karma doesn't pay me, but why I advertise Credit Karma is because they give you 2 out of 3 of the credit bureau's scores. But I will say right now for everybody to know, yes, Credit Karma does not use the FICO score model. No, they don't. And that's a big problem for a lot of people because what they do is they look at their FICO score and they see one score. And then they see, oh, sorry, my computer's turning off. They look at the FICO score and they see one score. And then they look on Credit Karma and they see a different score and they get confused. Why, you know, why is it different? Why is it lower here than there? Why is it telling me a different score? Is this correct? Is it accurate? So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like, you have to understand there's so many different credit scoring models, and Credit Karma is a company that's just trying to help people get an idea of what their financial health is, what their credit health is like. So they're giving you a ballpark idea, but they use the Vantage score instead of the FICO model, which means that it's just going to be slightly different. They consider certain things as part of your score that the FICO score doesn't, or they don't consider certain things that the FICO score does, right? So it's, you know, all those details I'm not going to put out here. I don't have them off the top of my head. But at the end of the day, what I would say is that if your scores look a little bit different when you check your FICO score and when you check your Credit Karma, checking your FICO score is harder because you have less access to it, because every time you pull it, it hurts your FICO score. And also you don't really have unlimited access to your FICO score. You can check it once a year for free on freeannualcreditreport.com. But what I would say is take a look at your FICO score. Let's say it's like, I don't know, 500, and you want it to be 650. You know that you have 150 points of increasing to hit your goal. So now don't check your FICO score again. Go onto Credit Karma and start to track the growth. Start to track how many points am I increasing every month, because that is going to be accurate no matter if the numbers are different. The growth is going to be the same. So over time, you want to try to make sure that you're constantly increasing your score over time and not worry too much about if it's a FICO, if it's a Vantage, you know, Guard or Vantage Score 0.3.0, what specific type of scoring model doesn't necessarily matter. How do you stay motivated? Woo. I'm burning hot right now, by the way. I should not have worn the sweater, guys. I'm so hot. But how to stay motivated? Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. You know, I think something that I noticed that I don't like is that a lot of people online and well, I guess not a lot, but like I don't know, some people online. Let me drink some water because I'm hot. Some people online, they try to make it seem like everything is perfect. I mean, everybody knows this, right? Social media. If you go on Instagram, if you go on Facebook, everybody's living a perfect life. Everybody's so happy and so motivated all the time. And it's like, that's not really true. Even me, like, it's hard. It's hard to stay motivated all the time. And I think there's definitely days where I'm just like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to brush my hair. I don't want to shave my legs. I don't want to do anything. I want to be lazy. I want to have a lazy day. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, I try to remember, the feeling in the future. That should be the thing that kind of you think about, right? So it's kind of like saving. It's hard to do it right now, but I always remember the feeling in the future is gonna be, I'm gonna be so happy that I saved because later I can work less and enjoy more. Versus now that I'm, wanting to enjoy more, but that means I'm gonna be spending all my money and not saving. Same thing with motivation. If you feel like you need a lazy day, you're at the end of that day, think about the future feeling. What are you gonna feel like at the end of the day if you think and say, oh man, I had like 10 emails to send and I had laundry to fold and I was supposed to call my dad and tell him happy birthday and I was supposed to do groceries and I was supposed to go and visit my friend, she's sick. I was supposed to do all this stuff and I didn't do it because I just stayed in bed today and I needed my hashtag, self-care. It's like people abuse that term. Like self-care is like taking a nap and then getting up and having some hot tea and going out to do the things you have to do. It's not spending the entire 24-hour length of the day in bed watching Netflix. I mean, I love me some Netflix, but like, it's everything sort of in moderation. So I'd stay motivated by thinking about that. How am I gonna feel? Am I gonna feel accomplished? Am I gonna feel proud of myself? I'm gonna feel pumped up if I go work out, even though I don't wanna work out. Like some mornings I wake up, I'm like, I don't want to. I literally feel like when I was 9 years old, my mom used to wake me up in the morning to go to school and I'd be like, no, mommy. That's how I feel. Like I don't wanna get up and go exercise, but I force myself to do it. I get up, I say, after this workout, I know I'm gonna feel good because I've had workouts where I felt really good after, even if I didn't want to do it. So definitely think about that future feeling, and that should help you at least to think of something that might motivate you, is that potential feeling of of success, of accomplishment, of you did something, you feel productive, you feel like more motivated at the end of the day. So, can I get a credit card without a job? Christian Hernandez, thanks for asking that question. That is such a good question. Honestly, a lot of people think that your job has something to do with your credit score, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. The job that you have and the work that you do has nothing to do with your credit score. They might ask for your credit report or your credit score if you work in a specific industry, but it has nothing to do with your credit score. Your credit score has everything to do with your financial behavior and your practices and your habits around your usage of credit. That's why it's called a credit score. And so at the end of the day, it does not matter what specific job you have. But when you apply for certain things, like I don't know, like if you apply for a personal loan or if you apply for a specific type of thing that will be lending you money, like upfront. So for example, not a credit card, because that's a revolving amount of credit. Like that's every month it's going to fill back up if you pay it back, versus a loan where you're going to pay it back and then you're done. It's down to zero and you paid it off. That's called installment credit. So whenever you apply for installment credit, they do check to see what job you have, if you're if you have a good salary, if you're going to, because they're going to want to make sure that you can pay them back that amount that you owe them in full. Versus a credit card, no, you don't have to have a job to have a credit card, but sometimes they do ask what your income is when you do the application. And if you're a student, for example, you can just put your parents' salary. You don't have to put yours if you're a student and you don't make a lot of money, or if you don't work. You can always put your parents and just say, I'm dependent on my parents currently, I'm not, no, and you put your parents and you'll probably still get approved for like a student credit card or something like that. Hey, we're interested in attending a seminar or workshop of yours in NYC. Anything we could keep an eye out for? Much love. Thank you so much for your support. I am definitely going to put one together. Right now, the only ones that I have coming up are actually not in New York City. I'm doing one in Philadelphia, and I have another one coming up that is also not, just, they're not going to be in New York for January, but I am definitely, especially now that I know that there's some interest out there, definitely going to work on putting together some sort of workshop or some sort of course or something that I can offer in person in New York, so you guys can come out and shake my hand and say what's up in person rather than seeing me always on my screen on the channel. Best financial advisor ever. Oh, thank you. You guys, this is like so cute. Where? I'll probably do it in Manhattan somewhere. I don't know, maybe like a WeWork or maybe like a meeting space. I have to think more about it. I don't want to give any promises, but yeah, hopefully you can come in from Jersey if you're in Jersey or somewhere close by. Breach and Equifax. Ooh. Call up all of your credit card companies and set up fraud alerts. That is the #1 thing. With the breach, it feels like a lot of people felt like, what can you do to protect yourself from the breach? Let's be real. The information was stolen. It was taken. They have your social. They have your date of birth. If they took it with the breach, if they saw it, you can't go and reverse time and make them unsee it. So there's not a ton we can really do in the aftermath of a breach, but to protect yourself before a breach, you definitely want to call up all of your credit cards and set up alerts, set up all of that information where they text you or call you or email you every single time something suspicious happens. It's annoying sometimes when you're trying to swipe the same purchase or do something that seems suspicious to them. They're going to stop the transaction, call you, text you. But wouldn't you rather have that happen than they didn't even care that something funky happened? And like, you know, you end up getting your information stolen or getting your identity stolen and have people doing fraud and whatever with your account and your social. So it's better to deal with that. I binge watch your channel. Thank you, Jenna. Oh, that's you again, Jenna Gets Fit 17. Thank you so much for binge watching my channel. I really appreciate that. How do you feel about Dave Ramsey's model? I think that Dave Ramsey has a very strong model. I think anybody out there who talks crap about Dave Ramsey's model is crazy, because let's all be real. He is very successful, and he, at the end of the day, I genuinely believe he wants to help people. Like, I do really believe that. He's like a Christian man, you know, he's out here trying to do the Lord's work. He's really trying to help people, and I really admire that, and I really appreciate that, because I think that helps me kind of to be inspired to do similar work. But a lot of his ideas are very traditional. He's very much like, you know, he's an old guy, right? He's an old man. He has a lot of like grandpa tendencies, and he says things I'm like, we're not in 1984 anymore. You know, it's 2018 in like literally 2 weeks. So we're so far from like the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, right? The time when people were so afraid of investments and stocks, and a lot of this stuff was really taboo. Only people who worked on Wall Street knew about it. But nowadays, with the internet and so much available information, you know, it's just, there's so much information. Just learn about it and then make an informed decision. Don't avoid it because, you know, you feel like it's something that it traditionally has not been done that way. It's like he's stuck in the past. That's how I feel about him. I think he's great. I think he's very motivational. Sometimes I listen to some of his YouTube clips and I'm like cracking up over here because he's like, he goes in. He'll like tell people off. I'm like, dang, all right, Dave, you're out here telling people off. Would you say your credit score is affected if you lose your credit card? Well, here's the thing. If you lose your credit card, you're not able to use it unless you have it automatically saved on certain websites and things like that, or if you have it on auto pay. So if you have it on auto pay, it's not a big deal, but you do want to call and report that. Like it's not going to necessarily hurt your credit score, but at the end of the day, it could hurt you because if you lost it, you don't know where it is. Somebody could find it and start using it and run up your credit or whatever. So if you lost it and you don't know where it is, definitely call the company and say, I need a new card. The annoying thing is you're going to get a new card in the mail, and whatever things you did have automatically set up to automatically charge that card, you're going to have to update all of them with the new card information. It's the same thing like when your card expires and you have to call all of, you know, your automatic bill pays and tell them to, you know, update the year, or just go yourself on, log in online. I mean, it's 2017. Log in and just change your year. So same thing, you have to change your information. So honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like it's not that serious, but it is something to make sure you handle and call right away. What financial advice books would you recommend? Oh, check out my video. I have a video that says the 5 best financial books that I read. I think I would definitely like add a couple more to the list. I don't think it's just 5 is enough, but I definitely think that there's really, really, really good books, especially for young people, that a lot of people don't know about. So definitely check that video out. There's some for like mindset, and there's some for like habits and practice that you can definitely check out. Julia says Susie Orman. That's how I got into this. I mean, Susie Orman has some drama in her life. There was a point in time where everybody was saying she was a scam artist with her. She had some debit card business that she was trying to start, a debit card, and tell people that it was going to increase their credit score. But everybody knows debit has nothing to do with your credit score and your credit card. So people were like, Susie, what are you smoking? So yeah, how do you feel about bank CDs? I used a bank CD before in the past, but I used it when I was 16. I had my Sweet 16, and I had like a whole bunch of gifts from my Sweet 16, and I knew I wasn't really going to need that money right away until I was in like college. So that was like, you know, whatever, 16 to 18, 2 years away. So I went and I put a CD. I think I did it for like a year. I don't remember. My mom and dad took me to like Dime Bank in Williamsburg, which honestly doesn't even exist anymore. But anyway, so we went to the bank and opened a CD, and then it's basically means certificate of deposit, which means that they freeze the money for you. Cannot touch that money for the time period that you tell them. So let's say you do a CD for 6 months. You cannot. It's like that money doesn't exist for 6 months. You have no access to it. But they're going to guarantee you a certain interest rate. So they're going to guarantee you, you know, 2%, or I don't know, whatever the CD 1.5%. I don't know what the CD options are right now, because I wouldn't use a CD right now. I think CDs are very safe. Like if you're 16 and you can't invest and you don't have necessarily access to those resources, like I didn't have that at the time, then I recommend a CD. I think that's a good option for you. But right now, if you're a little older, or if you have access to the internet, or you have apps on your phone, you can definitely do, you know, you can do some sort of robo-advisor or some different type of investment, as long as you put a chunk of it in a savings account first. Oh man, you guys have so many questions. I've been on here for like 50 minutes already. I'm gonna try to keep it to an hour, just because I don't want to go too long and people are gonna be like, oh, this video is way too long, I'm not gonna watch it. And I know a lot of people want to check it later. How do you get your credit score up so fast? Okay, so what I would say is, if your utilization is the problem, then that's the fastest thing that will change your score. If you have a high balance, the first thing you need to do is save up the money or borrow the money from your mom and dad. I don't know, whatever the situation needs to be, pay that off immediately, because once your utilization is under 10%, that is a big chunk of your score that's going to improve immediately. The next thing that you need to do is think about your age of credit, because that's like another big piece. It's like 15% of your score. So you want to think about like, all right, how many years have I had credit? If you only have credit for like less than 5 years, like 2 years or 3 years or even 1 year, it's going to be really hard for you to improve your credit. No matter what you do, after the utilization thing goes down to 10%, it's going to be very hard to see more significant changes after that, because the sheer fact that you don't have a lot of activity, you don't have a lot of history to show and prove that you are, you know, financially responsible. So what I would say is, consider, if you trust your parents, or if you trust, you know, your husband, or you trust somebody in your family, I would say like blood, not like a random friend from college, but like somebody that you really trust, somebody in your family that you know is very responsible. I would ask them if you can, and if they have a long history of credit. So like particularly thinking of parents or aunts, or somebody who you know is responsible and has a long history of credit, if they can make you an authorized user, because then that will increase the age that you have of credit, and then your score will go up in that category, which will make it easier for the other categories to increase as well. So first utilization, then age of credit. That's why I like Credit Karma, because it has a graph that shows you everything. Yes, Bella, I think the same thing. I think Credit Karma gives so many graphs and so many information, so many different types of pieces of information. You can click on each individual factor and see how much of your score is it worth, and what do you need to do to improve it. So I love Credit Karma. I know it's not a FICO score and everything, but you know, all of that. So a lot of people are talking bad about Dave Ramsey on here. Oh my gosh, these comments are so mean. Positive vibes only, guys. Positive vibes only, and positive bank accounts only. I said Romans, hello, I meant, man. Okay, my score went up 20 points in Credit Karma. Yeah, I mean, Credit Karma will tell you. How do you save up enough money to buy a house? Who? All right, well, I'm not there yet, so we ain't on that level yet. Real estate is very expensive in New York. I don't know if that question was specific to New York. The handle said NY something, so I think it was. But in New York, real estate is like, oh my God, it's almost like a luxury item that you only certain, you know, you have access to it if you are, you know, privileged, because it seems like VIP access only. It's very difficult. You need to have a very big down payment. You need to have, I mean, the amount of money they're going to spend in real estate in New York is insane. I grew up in Brooklyn. The houses in this neighborhood that I'm in right now, Bushwick, houses in this neighborhood when my dad and my mom moved to this country in the 70s, the house that they have, it was worth $68,000 total. And now in 2017, the houses in Bushwick and houses in the area period are like upwards of $1 million and $2 million. So that crazy change that's been happening in Brooklyn specifically is very reflective of the changes happening in New York City and the greater New York City area. So I would say that if you're thinking of investing in New York City, you better be prepared to like put in some work. Maybe you're gonna be a lawyer, or you're gonna go work in some kind of field where you're gonna make six digits salary for several years. Because if you try to be like me and do some work in the community and be working with kids and helping them learn to read and doing all these things that make me happy but don't bring a ton of money all at once, then we're not gonna be able to keep up in the real estate race in New York. But yeah, consider other places down south. I hear it's very cheap and things like that. Buy a house in PA, buy a house in Atlanta. Yeah, those are good places to look. What do you think about loan consolidation for students? I think it's a great idea if you feel overwhelmed by the amount of different sources that you have to, or not sources, I guess, the amount of lenders that you have. If you have like 4, 5, 6 different accounts that all owe different amounts and they all different interest rates, and it's stressing you out and you're overwhelmed, I think it's definitely worth consolidating, or at least considering consolidation as an option. But it's only worth it if you're gonna save in the end, right? You have to constantly have that future feeling mindset, right? Some people think it's worth it even if they don't save, even if they pay more in the long run, because they can pay less consistently over time. So like they would rather pay $20 a month for 5 years rather than pay $200 a month for 1 year or something like that, like thinking about less over time rather than the total amount. My personal belief is that it doesn't matter the month to month stuff. What matters is the total amount, because that's going to be your net savings at the end of the day. But a lot of people are in different situations, and if you're in a very tough situation, I completely understand why you would disagree with that, so I'm not going to judge. More Bitcoin questions. Guys, I already talked about Bitcoin. Can you give me some new questions? And just because I feel like I can post a video on that. What are your money goals for 2018? Ooh, that's a good one to Mario. I really like that question. My money goals for 2018. I really, 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 really want to double my net worth. I think that is probably going to be my biggest goal. And at the end of the day, I really don't know if it's going to be possible, but why not set some ambitious goals? I really want to double my net worth. I think at this point, I'm young and I have the energy and I have the motivation. Why not like go hard now, and then later on I can kind of relax? So I really want to find a way to double my net worth, find different ways to double my net worth. How do you calculate your net worth? Okay, you can either use personal capital or you can use Mint. You basically, what you want to do, and you don't even have to use personal capital or Mint or some of these other platforms, but I recommend it because it's a nice visual, kind of like what I think it was Bella or somebody else was saying about Credit Karma having all the graphs and charts. So you essentially are going to put in all the accounts that you have. You're going to put in all of your credit cards that you owe money on. You're going to put in all of the student loans that you have. You're going to put in every dollar that you have in your name in a bank account, in a savings account, in an investment account, anything, 401k, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, anything that you have that is worth money that you have. Not like anything that's worth money, because like you're not going to put a necklace or a laptop in there, but basically your net worth is any dollar amount of liquid assets that you have, or not necessarily liquid, but that you could make liquid, you would put in there. So any accounts that you have essentially is where you're going to put all your accounts on there, and then they're going to do the math and they're going to say all of the things that you have that are positive in your name are here. And these are all the things that are negative, means that you owe them. You subtract these from the negative from the positive. The difference is your net worth. That's how much you have that is actually yours to keep, because you don't owe it to anyone. And that's how I use personal capital to see my net worth and see if my net worth is growing or decreasing each month. And they send notifications via email every month saying, this month your net worth went up by 2.2%. This week your net worth went down 0.01%. And that way it helps you get an idea of whether you're going up or down in the grand scheme of things. I try to constantly make sure I'm doing different things to help me bring in income. YouTube is definitely one of them, and I really love the YouTube channel because it provides a couple $100s a month that it helps me a lot. But I also try to do other different things as much as I can. I love you, Yaneli. Oh, thank you guys. I really love you guys. Google it. Hey, that's not nice. This is Ask Me Anything. You don't have to Google. You can ask me. How do you feel about Stash? Yeah, I already talked about Acorn, and Acorn and Stash are very similar, so I'm not going to talk about them separately. I've been loyal to Chase for a long time, and I'm looking for another bank. What banks do you recommend? I think Chase Bank has a bad reputation. I never use Chase, but I know a lot of my siblings use it, and I think Chase is very like they have high fees. I feel like when you have a checking account with them, they have like, if your balance goes below a certain amount, then you have to pay. And it's just like, to me, I really don't understand that. That's so predatory. Like, if they have less than a certain balance in the account, how you expect them to pay you? They don't have a lot of money. So it's so predatory in the nature of like all these accounts. But I think for me, it's like, if you find a bank or even a credit union, some sort of an institution of some sort, or an organization that is really going to provide you with something that does not charge you when you're in a bad situation. Okay, so they don't charge you fees for having less than a certain amount in your account and things like that. Oh, Bella's out here representing for Chase. Well, the thing is, I'm not trying to bash Chase. I'm just trying to say, I don't think it's right when it says your account is below $200, so you owe $5. It's like, well, I mean, I'm barely at $200. You're gonna charge me $5. So I definitely think there's a lot of really great banks and credit unions out there. I personally use Bank of America, but I know a lot of people don't like Bank of America. I think they're fine. I've had a good experience with them. I don't have anything bad to say about them. And that's pretty much it. What do you recommend for credit repair? Honestly, like, a lot of people ask me that for some reason, because I feel like the thing about YouTube is that there's a lot of financial people on YouTube telling and recommending credit repair, or saying, oh, I do credit repair for this much money. And it's like, you can repair your own credit for free 99. Log into Credit Karma or look at your FICO score and find out where you're low, where your score is really, lacking, and what are the categories that you need to improve on to make your score go up. The formula exists. It's not a secret. It's out there and it's online. So all you need to do is find out which categories of the formula do you need to improve, and then start working on them. Find out, what do I need to do to improve utilization? What do I need to do to increase age of credit? What are some options to, vary my mix of credit? Put that stuff into Google or email it to me at MissBeHelpful@gmail.com and find out what are the things that you can do to improve those categories, and then your score will slowly go up. Is that people want to do it instantly. They want to be like, oh, can you improve my credit tomorrow because I want to buy a car? It's like, that's not realistic. You are looking for a quick fix and you're gonna get scammed. That's not it's just not, it's not a viable option to really have somebody come and increase your credit one day to the next. It's just not. It's probably not legitimate. Okay. All right, last thing before we go, because it's already been 61 minutes. Do you recommend removing money from your retirement account to handle financial responsibilities? Oh, okay. Once you put money in your retirement, do not take it out. I do not recommend you take out money once you put it in there, because there's fees. So you're going to end up paying penalty fees for taking out money that you put in there because it was meant to be there for you later when you really need it. So I definitely don't recommend you do that. I definitely don't recommend you do that at all. I think it's better if you Oh, sorry guys. It cut me off. I guess I was going too long. All right, last thing. Yes, it's just not worth it. I know there's a lot of people online that say you can do free credit repair, but at the end of the day, I really don't think it makes sense. Like, I think it's better. Oh, I wasn't even talking about credit repair. Look at me. I was talking about 401ks. I think it's better if you leave the money in the 401k. Don't take it out because you have to pay a penalty fee. The only time that I think this might is if you're going to purchase a home and you want to use the collateral that you have, and you want to use the money that you have in your 401k, because there's laws that say if you use your 401k to put money on a down payment for a house to purchase your first home, it has to be your first home. If you've bought a home before, if you bought property before, it doesn't count. So it has to be your first property. So if you're going to buy your first home and you want to take, I think it's only a maximum of $10,000 out of your retirement account, you can put it towards the house and you don't have to pay taxes on it. And you don't have a penalty fee. So that's the only loophole where I would say, that makes sense, because you're moving from one investment to another investment. Real estate is an investment, but don't take it out to buy a car or to buy, I don't know. What do people out here buying that doesn't make sense? To buy anything that really is not an investment. The only way I would say it makes sense is like real estate, something like that, because it's an investment that you're going to be able to sell and make more money when you retire. So at the end of the day, it's the same purpose. It's to help you when you retire. Okay. All right, that is all I have, you guys. Thank you so much for all of these questions. I'm definitely going to do another YouTube live. I'm definitely going to do more of these because I really liked it, and there were so many questions. If I didn't get to your question, yo, DJ Jules, I see you out here. I see you. Thank you for the love, man. I'm so happy right now because I see so many people supporting the channel and just like showing me love. I really appreciate that. But really shortly, because I feel like I've been running over way too much, I just want to say thank you so much. And at the end of the day, I feel like if you guys ask me a question that I didn't get to, don't worry. I'm going to look through the questions that are in the chat box, and I'm going to try to do videos to respond to certain questions that are really good that I didn't get a chance to. So don't feel like, oh man, she talked for hours and she didn't get my question. I'm never going to support her again. Don't pout like that. Don't be like that with me. All right. I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer some of these questions. And then also, if you don't see that I respond, email me. Just copy and paste your question into an email, and I would definitely respond to those emails. Thank you so much, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Share my channel with friends that you guys think would find it helpful, or even family that you think would find it helpful. Email me if you have any other questions, as usual, at MissBeHelpful@gmail.com. Check out my Patreon, linked in the description box below. Until next time, peace.